1XX News brought to you by your East Bay New Worlds, where you can collect double Flybuys points until September 16.
From IRN, I'm Mike Francis. They're calling it the Pearl Harbor of the 21st century. Tens of thousands of people are feared dead after terrorists hijacked several passenger planes and piloted them into key American landmarks. 2 planes slammed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York, causing the buildings to collapse. As many as 50,000 people may have been inside. A 3rd plane went down at the Pentagon in Washington, and a 4th jet crashed in a rural part of Pennsylvania. The White House has been evacuated, but presidential spokeswoman Karen Hughes says the U.S. government continues to function.
And the president is in a secure location. He is in continuous communication with the vice president and key members of his cabinet and national security team. Vice President Cheney and our National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice are in a secure facility at the White House. The Secretary of Defense remains at the Pentagon, and the Secretary of State is en route back to Washington from his trip to South America.
All airports in the U.S. have been closed. One of the hijacked flights was United Airlines flight UA175, which is a code-share flight with Air New Zealand. Our national carrier says initial investigations show no record of any of its ticketed passengers being on board. Several Air New Zealand flights have been affected by the decision to close U.S. airspace. These include a flight from Los Angeles that was due to depart for Sydney. It's been grounded, while a flight from London to LA remains on the ground in Britain. Other flights are also affected. New Zealand has expressed its condolences to the US following the tragedy. Foreign Minister Phil Goff says it's likely some New Zealanders have been killed in the attacks, given that large numbers of expats work in New York. An 0800 number is being set up for people with relatives and friends working in the United States. However, the number has not yet been made available. We will bring you that number as soon as possible. This is IRN News.
In sport, one of New Zealand's leading soccer players has been shaken but unhurt after the terrorist plane attack on Washington, D.C. and New York. Ryan Nelson lives just 2 minutes away from the Pentagon outside of Washington and says he and his flatmates were watching the Twin Towers tragedy on TV when there was an almighty explosion. He says the walls of his apartment started to shake, but it wasn't until he saw pictures of the Pentagon on the news moments later that he realized what had happened.